Okay, everyone. So thank you for coming to the Student Research Spotlight today. Today we have Seungmyoung Lee. Did I
Yeah.
pronounce it correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and she's going to talk about her experience with CCIR and her experience doing research with Dr. Newhouse. So maybe let's start with a very quick introduction of yourself. Maybe tell everyone about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Seungmyoung Lee. I live in Toronto, Canada. I'm originally from South Korea, and I am really, really passionate about neuroscience, and it's one of my goals to really combine neuroscience and psychology to help individuals, especially children, in the future.
Yeah, that's very inspiring. It's very ambitious too. How did you find out about CCR's program? Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, I really started gaining my interest in neuroscience I think it was like 2 years ago, around 2 years ago. And I was really trying to find opportunities for research that is not only like on the look for actual professional opportunities that I can engage with professors and really like top tier, like really highly developed topics. And right before I found out about CCIR, I took a few summer courses in the basics of neuroscience, and I really decided that I really, really want to delve deeper into the area by having my own research project and by being able to present my work to other people. And I was really looking into a lot of those different programs and opportunities, and I found out about CCIR and how it allows me to work in a small group of people with a professor to draft my own research, and even before doing that, get the lecture from the professor about that area, and even like learning content that is beyond the level of what I'm learning in school. So yeah, that's how I decided to join.
Okay, great. So maybe tell a little bit about your the admission process. How did you prepare for the application materials, the interviews, and how did you basically maximize your chance of getting into this program?
Yeah, so if I like remember it correctly, I think the application involved an essay that I had to write about my own life or something, and it was related to my personal life.
Mhm.
And in terms of that, I really tried to I remember writing about like two major motivation of my life, one of them being my passion for helping younger children, and really like my goal to, I think, be involved in pediatric research in the future. And another aspect of me was like really just nothing to do with neuroscience, which was like my experience of living in like a very rural island in South Korea at some point, and how that really developed my love for like working with children and caring for their wellness and like well-being and everything. And I think those kind of combine to really say a lot about my passions and like why I decided to be involved in neuroscience and everything. So I really tried not to be way too focused on the area that I'm trying to study with CCIR, but also about like my personal life, and I really love to explore and do. Um, so that was how I drafted my essay. I think I really try to like think of it from the perspective of not only me but also from other people. So I like tried to talk to some of my closest teachers in school and ask them about like, how do you like, think I approach like these kind of situations, or like how do you think I can best like express myself through like these personal essays. And I got a lot of support and input from them too. Yeah, and in terms of I think there's also the part where I have to list like some of my major activities, and for that one, I think I really try to put a combination of both neuroscience and non-neuroscience related activities, because I was still in the beginning process of learning about the area. I was mostly focused on showing like my leadership in general, like in school and outside of school, and also generally like how I engage in discussions and collaborative work outside of school through my work. in community organizations like the youth cabinet, and like how I'm involved in the urban health working group, because that relates to health and medicine, and like kind of like trying to show various aspects of my life through those activities, but at the same time not like, you know, listing every single thing that I have, because I really want to make sure that it's like focused and balanced. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you've drafted a really good essay in the application form. Sometimes when the professors are looking at the essays, the application form as a whole, I mean, academic track records and your, school coursework can only tell so much. But the professors are really interested in the passion that's in the student, and that's something that really drives each student to
Yeah.
go over the entire program and to finish a research project like this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So can you tell a little bit about your interview process? Do you still
Mm-hmm.
remember that?
Yeah, I clearly remember my
Oh, okay.
interview. It was one of the most memorable moments, I guess.
Oh,
Because for the interview, I've never done an interview with a professor who is not from Canada or the US.
mhm.
And I actually didn't expect the interview to be like really like focused on the area that I'm trying to study. So when I went into the interview, I thought it's mostly going to be about like discussion about my passions or like what I want to do in the future, because that's what a lot of the, extracurricular organizations do when they select a group of people. But when I went in, the professor asked, also asked me about like my passions and goals and like the work. He also asked me a lot of specific questions about the work I do outside of school, like not only about like the organization is specific, but more about like the research projects that I've been doing in the past, because I wrote about that in my extracurriculars, and like really going deep into the scientific side of things that I've been working on, like even inside and outside of school. Like we really talked a lot about like the biological side of things and like how it relates to neuroscience and what kind of conclusions I found in my other projects. And then we moved on to talking about the content that we're going to be learning in class.
Mhm.
So he asked me specific questions about axon growth and like how we can grow, I think, axons from stem cells on a pet petri dish. And those were questions that I've never like thought of before, although like I've learned a little bit of neuroscience like only through like the basic courses. So I really tried to combine all of the knowledge that I have like
Mhm.
all across my brain and like try to like
Mhm.
formulate my responses as much as possible, although I got stuck so many times
Mhm.
throughout. So actually at the beginning, I thought I did not do well on the interview, but it turns out that they were really focusing more on like not a lot on like my previous knowledge, but more on like how I can like show potential to like grow through the class, I guess. So yeah, but it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
really
yeah,
fun.
exactly. Yeah, I feel like you have a really good understanding of how we structure our interview.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, because we have so many applications, nowadays the interviews are mostly conducted by our academic coordinator, academic advisors, not
Right.
the professors themselves, but
Uh-huh.
the questions are really differs from students, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
professor will provide their own input. But the idea is
Right.
really not to really test the student, but really for the professors to see how the students' thought process are.
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's definitely not a test. So there's no need to be intimidated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the research course itself. So how's your experience with your mentor, Dr. Newhouse? So he's a research associate with Cambridge Department of Clinical Neuroscience. So definitely a very fit match with you, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in terms of, I think it was first of all really, really like a novel and memorable experience for me, because it was a very professional environment as well, where like we were mostly like treated as like not like, like students just normally in a high school class. I think he was really trying to teach us a lot of like difficult knowledge, but also at least like treating us like really like college students or whatever,
Mhm.
like, but we are also like able to participate a lot throughout class, which is really amazing.
Mhm.
We had a lot of opportunity to like raise our hands and answer questions, and even if we like don't get it right,
Mhm.
we would like collaborate as a group to get to the answer that like he's looking for, or like many times we would be stuck in terms of like figuring out like um let's say like we were talking about axonal growth or like
Mhm.
regeneration,
Mhm.
then we would have to bring in concepts that we learned from previous sessions to really formulate our knowledge for the next session.
Mhm.
So it was a lot about kind of consolidating that knowledge through communicating with my professor on a regular basis, because we had like some homework to do after each session, and like whenever I had questions I would just email him a bunch of questions via email, and he would always be happy to like help us. And like it was such a great relationship because um it was such an active relationship too, like because even outside of the lecture time he was always like on emails answering any of the questions that we have. And since we also have the office hour session with the who is it, another,
The teaching assistant.
yeah, the teaching assistant, so it was like a really tight-knit
Mhm.
relationship
Mhm.
where we totally like felt valued and
Mhm.
heard. So it was great.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's very good to know. So you mentioned you also mentioned your dynamic with your other students in your same
Mhm.
research group. So who are they, and what's your experience working with other students?
Yeah, so in my group, I think aside from me, we had 3 or 4 students. I remember it was interesting because we were all from like totally different areas,
Mhm.
and one of them was from like originally from like Switzerland or something, but like studying in the US. The other one's in Florida. The other one's like in a totally different place. And I think we were also in different time zones as well. So it was really amazing because all of us had different goals,
Mhm.
although we were all like passionate about neuroscience. So like one of them like wanted to study like space, like astro like science, and like really interested in NASA and all of the work they do, and like she still wanted to combine that with neuroscience.
Mhm.
And like I had a different um like passion. So that was really evident when we were all choosing our research topic for our individual projects a few weeks later. Like we all chose totally different topics. And that
Mhm.
was really amazing to see because in each session, our professor encouraged us to teach each other whatever we learned from each week. So
Mhm.
like each of us had a chance to like explain whatever we've learned, although it was extremely challenging because it was like totally new knowledge. And we had to
Mhm.
like go through a bunch of research papers to be able to
Mhm.
explain it to people, because apparently like understanding it and explaining is different. So like we always like try to like help each other. And it was also nice because we all understood that
Mhm.
we're busy people, and we were also able to help each other a lot. When one of us had to miss a session and we weren't able to make it, then we would like fill each other in,
Mhm.
and trying to kind of encourage each other, because the research at the end, like it was really, we're really tight on time, and sometimes it's like hard to get things done in time,
Mhm.
but we were still able to help each other, and realize that like even after the course we were still able to continue with the work that we do.
Okay, yeah, that's really good to know. So maybe tell a little bit about your research project. So what is the
Mhm.
research topic that you choose, and why do you choose it?
Yeah, so it's been a while, so I
Mhm.
have to like bring
Okay.
my
Mhm.
memory back. But the thing is, I'm still working on this research project, which
Mhm.
is good.
Mhm.
So my research topic was about like optimizing the track B's involvement in sensory axon growth.
Mhm.
So it was basically a literature review based on a bunch of research papers that are out there, from both peer-reviewed and non-reviewed journals. And also I was looking at uh, a lot of the scientific images as well.
Mhm.
And basically for my topic, my layout was that I first of all like kind of like provide an introduction to what track B is, because it's pretty much unfamiliar to a lot of the people, like the basic information about it, and like the potential for axonal growth and nerve regeneration, because our course was all about like regenerative like neurobiology and everything.
Mhm.
And then after I go into the basics of that, I kind of like talk a little bit about like protein signaling pathways and the binding sites, because that kind of leads into my specific research, which was the extended literature about the comparison of like sensory axonal growth and protein signaling. I think it was in the motor neurons and sensory neurons, I believe. Yeah, so that was what I'm like essentially trying to do. So like providing a few comparison points and trying to show like how they're different, how they're similar, and like how their binding sites are different, and how the activation of signaling pathways work and everything. So yeah, that was basically my research topic.
Yeah, it sounds like a very, very structured research paper. So have you done any similar research before, or did Dr. Newhouse provide any assistance? What kind of help he provided in your research?
So before I joined CCIR, I've done a little bit of research because I did some local science fairs, but it was not on this level. It was mostly just like more on the surface level, I would say, because our course was really neurobiology, going into the biological side, while most of the research that I've done in the past was more like smaller projects, or even like projects that touch on more of the just like simple clinical side of things, like simple gene editing, or just simply about like neuroimaging, which is easier to deal with because I don't need that much prior knowledge to do it. So when I came into the course, my professor helped me so much, to be honest, because like even from the start point, which was like choosing my topic and refining my topic, because initially I had a really complex topic that is pretty much impossible to achieve, and sometimes it's easy to do that if you are not really familiar with these kind of high like level research. So he helped me a lot with like clarifying my research topic, like making it really clear. And also, even from the start point, he was trying to help me so that I can formulate a research paper that I can use it in the future for journals as well. So like kind of like optimizing everything so that I can literally use it in so many parts of my life. And when I was writing it, every week he provided new feedback on my document whenever I submit my progress. It was really in-depth feedback. And in addition to the feedback, we always got recommended like journals and videos that we can watch in relation to the part that we're working on. So it was really, really helpful. Yeah, and I loved all of the feedback because it was such constructive feedback. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, that's really great. Sounds like Dr. Newhouse really helped you a lot. So so you mentioned that you're still working on polishing your research paper. Have you still been in contact with Dr. Newhouse after program ends?
After like a little bit after program ended, I stayed in touch with him because I did not finish my research paper right at the time, because I somehow I really wanted to keep working on it, and I want to like keep making it better. So I told him that I want to spend more time on it, and you know, after I do it, I'll definitely like send my progress to him and everything. So yeah, I haven't talked to him in the past, like, you know, few weeks, I would say. Like, you know, starting from April, I didn't really have a chance to talk to him, but definitely would love to share with him my progress once I am fully done with my paper.
Yeah, definitely take advantage of that. We have many students that, because they're really so passionate into their own research paper, and they really want to perfect it. Even after the program ends, they still want to work on it, and they still correspond with our professors, and they can still take advantage with our journal publication team, and they can work with them. And those are all the resource and assets that's available to the students. So definitely take advantage of that. Yeah, so do you have any end goals for your research paper? Are you thinking of publication somewhere in the future, or use it for your writing sample?
Actually, my goal is to submit it to the Columbia Junior Science Journal.
Mhm.
The submissions are open right now. It's going to be open until this summer. So my goal is to really just perfect my paper before the submission date, and actually submit it through the support of the CCIR team, because I've been getting some emails
Mhm.
about, like getting support for publication, which I really, really feel grateful for. So I'm definitely going to try out for that. And I'm also looking into some other research competitions that I can run for in the new year, so that I can present my work to other people.
Yeah, definitely reach out to our team. They can save so much of your time. They can help you with the formatting and
Mhm.
everything. So that's something. And also keep in touch with Dr. Newhouse.
Yeah.
We've had students submitted to the Columbia's undergrad journal before. So that's totally doable for high school students. So
Mhm.
that's not that much of an ambitious goal. So definitely try to do your best and see if that'll work for you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, great. So I think just some last few questions.
Mhm.
A lot of our future applicants also review our they take a look at our past student spotlight reviews, interviews, videos
Mhm.
all the time. So do you have any advice for any future CCR students?
Yeah, I would say I think my biggest advice would be don't worry too much if you feel like you are not able to like perfect your research before the course ends,
Mhm.
because it's definitely a long-term relationship that you can definitely maintain with your professor and the CCIR team as well, because it's amazing that I've like been keeping in contact with them for like already like 4 months after the program's still like ongoing.
Mhm.
And another thing would be like don't be afraid to ask questions during class, and also like even if you feel like whatever you have in mind might be wrong, just like say it out loud, because sometimes whatever you say and what you answer, like whatever answer you provide to the question, might actually spark new ideas in your classmates. And yeah, active participation actually makes everything much better, and makes the whole experience more memorable.
Yeah. This is what we trying to do with the Future Scholar program,
Mhm.
because we have such a diverse student body. Within each group, sometimes we have students from totally different continents, and I believe that
Yeah.
would be your case too. I think from your group, there are students from the States, in North America, but also students from Asia and some
Yeah.
other places. So that's really
Mhm.
interesting, and everyone has the same goal, share the same interest, and
Yeah.
being in the same group, and somehow finding the same time to meet across different time zones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. I think that's everything for our today's spotlight research students research spotlight. Well, thank you so much for coming, and we're really looking forward to hear back from you again in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.